Hey guys, Mystellianne here, and today I'm going to be showing you guys an in-depth discussion on the Monarch deck. Like, what is it? What do you try to accomplish in this deck? How do you play it? Like, what types of cards would you be using? And what are some of the plays that you can make with this deck? So I've been testing Monarchs since November, and it's actually a pretty strong deck. I have said in the past, if you haven't seen my deck profile on it, I suggest you check it out. But I said in there that the deck does have a little bit of consistency issues, but that's not really a problem with this build, like, specifically. It's just a problem with the deck in general, but it's not too big of a problem. Most of the time you'll open your optimal hands. It's not as bad as Ritual Beasts are with bricking, or as they were when they were like still good when Cannon Hawk was at 3, but that's for another day. But the deck still has, like, once in a blue moon it'll have a bad hand, but I mean that kind of comes for every deck, just a little more so with this deck. And I mean, for a $50 deck though, that's still pretty good. So first, we'll be going into the types of cards that you play in this deck. We'll be going first into the, like, sort of removal cards in this deck, which would be Erebus, Caius, Thestalos, Stormforth, and Regeki. Of course, the direct cards would be these four, and then Regeki is just there. I'm going to be explaining what these cards do and why you should use them. So Erebus, what it basically does is when it's tribute summon, you can shuffle one card from your opponent's hand at random, graveyard or field back into their deck. It does not target. So you basically can either force them to start with one less card if you normal summon this on your first turn, or you can, like, use it for removal to get rid of whatever you want. Then Caius, what it does is when it's tribute summoned, and by the way, you can tribute summon all the Mega Monarchs by tributing one tribute summon monster, and this in Ether. But what Caius does when it's tribute summoned is you can target one card on the field, banish it, and if you do, inflict 1000 damage to your opponent. And if it's tribute summoned using a dark monster like Eidos or Erebus, you can target 2 cards instead. It's just great, like, if you want to get rid of something on the field, for example, something to do with Cosmos where you don't want them going to the grave so that they can't get their effects. Just banish them with Caius and you should be good for the turn. Then we have Thestalos. Basically, Thestalos is like a better version of Mind Crush. What it does is when it's tribute summoned, you can look at your opponent's hand, not just at random, but look at your opponent's hand. Then you get to discard one card from their hand, and if it was a monster, you inflict damage to them equal to its level times 200. So for example, level 4 monster would be 800 points of damage. It's like a Gaga Cowboy. This card is really good for your first turn plays. You always want to get this card when you draw it first turn. However, you only play one of it because it is searchable off of return, and you don't want to draw it otherwise during your game. So he's nice. You don't have to draw him during your first turn, but it's nice when you do, because it basically forces your opponent to start with one less card, and you can make those defensive countermeasures because you know what play they're going to try and make during the next turn. Following that, we have one copy, or not one copy, but Monarch Stormforth. I'm playing 3 copies of this in my deck. If you guys don't know what it does, basically when you would tribute summon a monster, it lets you tribute summon one card your opponent controls instead, or one monster. It does not target a specific monster, and it does not force you to tribute summon on activation. So basically, you can activate it at any time during the turn, even your opponent's turn if you're using escalation for some reason. So let's say they, like, happen to get rid of that monster thinking that you can't use it, because I don't know, like, that's what they had, and then they have another monster. You can use the other monster instead, just because it doesn't target a specific monster. So, and then last we have Regeki. Of course, we all know what this does, destroys all monsters your opponent has. Just a great card in general, blow out, really good. So if you guys haven't noticed, the common theme with all these cards is that they're just generic forms of removal. Erebus in the hand, field, or grave. Caius, anything on the field. Thestalos, anything in the hand. Monarch, Stormforth, anything on the field, or any monster, and then Regeki, of course, all monsters. So those are your types of removal cards. And then another aspect of this deck is the like, sort of lockdown cards. This deck has a lot of lockdown cards. There's only 4 specific ones, but you're playing a couple copies of each. I'm playing one copy of Vanity's Fiend. My bad. Majesty's Fiend in the main. You're playing 2 copies of Vanity's Fiend, one March, but the other in the side, and 3 copies of the Domain of the True Monarch. I'll put these to the side. So, if you guys don't know, Majesty's Fiend monster effects can't be activated. Vanity's Fiend monsters can't be special summoned. March, your opponent can't target or destroy a Monarch or any tribute summon monster that you have. And Domain basically locks your opponent from special summoning from the extra deck. That's its main effect. It has others, but that's pretty much the one you're going to use. So these basically lock down your opponent. If they can't activate monster effects, if they can't special summon, if they can't target or destroy your tribute summon monsters' card effects, and they can't special summon from their extra deck, they pretty much can't do anything. If you happen to have all these cards on board and you just keep attacking with these two, you're pretty much set for the game. So this deck has a few options for lockdowns. Some people don't play the Fiends, but I do because I think it's really great against the meta. Vanity's Fiend is especially good against Pepe. Majesty's Fiend is always good for those types of matchups. My bad. Especially Rogue, stuff like Mermail. And then, yeah. So, these are just your lockdown cards. I mean, you can pretty much use them for anything, and your opponent will get pretty frustrated. Then, after the lockdown cards, we have the support cards. Or the cards, are not really support, but your engine cards that allow you to bring these cards out and lock down or spot removal, like use that against your opponent. And these type of support cards are Ether, your 3 little guys, 1-for-1 Rhoda, and Prime Monarch. So what Ether does is when it's tribute summoned, you can send 2 Monarch spell track cards from the grave, or to the grave, and then you special summon one monster with 2400 attack or more and 1000 defense. So it basically grabs Majesty's Fiend or any of these 3. And at the end phase it returns to your hand. So for example, if you do this during your opponent's turn, because its other effect allows you to tribute summon during your opponent's turn, but that's not too important to this specific case. When you special summon it, the one that you special summon, it'll go back to your hand so that you can use during your next turn. You can use it during your next turn. It's pretty good. Mithra basically special summons it special summons itself from your hand and special summons a token to your opponent's side of the field. So it's just generic, like, I don't know, special summon from hand, tribute fodder. A lot of people have been playing Landrobe over Mithra. I'm actually not really supposed to be playing Mithra. This is supposed to be a BLS, but for now I'm playing the Mithra because I don't have the BLS right now. But even without the BLS, Mithra's still a good card to play. For one, the token that special summons to your opponent's side, you can always just tribute it with Stormforth for another like fodder for your tribute. And like I said before, a lot of people have been playing Landrobe over Mithra. Personally, I prefer Mithra just because it doesn't force your opponent to have a monster. Because to special summon Landrobe from your hand, you have to flip one monster your opponent controls face down into the face down defense position. Whereas Mithra doesn't require you doesn't require your opponent to already have a monster on board. So if you're going first, you can just make this guy or put him on the field, whereas you can't with Landrobe. Then with Eidos, basically when he's normal or special summoned during the main phase, you can tribute summon an additional monster in addition to your normal summon or set. And then Idea, I'm going to get back to this guy's second effect later once I'm done with this. What Idea does, or Idea as the OCG name was that I'm kind of used to, when it's normal or special summoned, you can special summon one monster with 800 attack and 1000 defense from your deck. So basically any of these two, except a copy of itself. And when it's sent to the graveyard, you can target any one of your banished Monarch spell trap cards, add it to your hand. So basically you want to be adding either Tenacity that you banished off of this guy, or Pantheism to your hand to reuse. And then the second effect of Eidos is if it's in the graveyard, you can banish it and then special summon one monster with 800 attack and 1000 defense from your graveyard. So, oops, my bad. It basically allows you to special summon an Idea or a Mithra. Then for the spells and traps, we have 1-for-1. Of course, summon a monster from your hand to the graveyard and special summon one level 1 monster from your hand or deck. So basically what you want to special summon is Idea. These are level 2, so you can only special summon Idea. But that's okay because you only played one copy of 1-for-1, because of course it is limited. So basically it just starts your plays, and it's great that you don't have to normal summon this if you have 1-for-1, because when you special this, and then special the Eidos, you can basically tribute summon 2 monsters if you can, because you didn't normal summon, and Eidos gives you an extra one. And then we're playing one single copy of Rhoda. Of course, it adds one level 4 lower warrior type monster to your hand, which of course is the 3 copies of idea, excuse me, that you're playing in your main deck. Even if this card was at 3, I probably wouldn't be playing more than 1 copy, possibly 2, but I'm gonna keep it at 1 probably. In that scenario, because like you generally don't want to be drawing too many copies of this. If you draw Idea and Rhoda, that's kind of cloggy, but those times that you do need the Idea and you have Rhoda, that's just great. That does happen more than drawing both. Then we have, lastly, the 1 copy of Prime Monarch. Actually, in the main deck I'm playing 3. I'm not sure why I'm saying 1 copy for some of these. It's basically an engine card. You can target 2 Monarch spell trap cards in your graveyard, shuffle them into the deck, and if you do draw 1 card, it's very, very noteworthy that this card says shuffle them into the deck, because it allows you to have a certain interaction that I'll explain later in the sort of combo section of the video that you can do. And its other effect is you can banish 1 spell trap card or Monarch spell trap card from your graveyard and special summon this card from your graveyard as a monster, not a spell trap card. Specifically says not a trap card. So basically, it's more tribute fodder, and it allows you to do a cool interaction. It's basically a +2 later on. So yeah, these are your support cards. They allow you to get to your big monsters and lock your opponent down, or use spot removal or whatever. And then lastly, we just have these generic support cards that like add stuff to your hand, whereas these guys like special summon monsters and allow you to tribute summon. These are the ones that add stuff to your hand, so you can use later. Of course, you guys all know what Max E does. If you're going second, of course, activate Max E when they're playing Mermills. Draw like 15 cards, and then make your play next turn. Pantheism, if you guys don't know what it does, it basically says send 1 Monarch spell trap card from your hand to the graveyard and draw 2 cards, which is really good by itself. And then it goes on to say, if this card is in your graveyard, you can banish it and reveal 3 Monarch spell trap cards from your deck. They don't have to be different cards. They can be 3 of the same card for all you care. And your opponent chooses 1 of them to add to your hand. They don't choose randomly, so if you happen to choose a really powerful one, they're probably not going to choose it. But for example, you can choose 3 copies of the field spell, and they'll have to add that, or something like that. Or you can do 2 copies of Tenacity in whichever card. So whichever one they pick, you're going to add the desired one to your hand. The banish from graveyard effect is once per turn, but the send 1 to draw 2 is not, so that's very noteworthy. Then we have 1 copy of Tenacity. It's reveal 1 monster in your hand with 2,400 attack and 1,000 defense, or 2,800 attack and 1,000 defense, and add any 1 Monarch spell trap card from your deck to your hand, and you can only use it once per turn. So you can add, for example, Pantheism if you need to draw, or if you have Prime Monarch. You usually want to discard Prime Monarch with Pantheism because it special summons itself, so it's great discard fodder. You can add Return if you want to add something to your hand for a play we may get into later. You can search, for example, let me find this, March and 2 copies of Tenacity, or no, that's with Pantheism, my bad. You can search March with Tenacity to lock them from targeting or destroying. You can search Domain if you don't want them special summon from the extra deck. You can search Stormforth if you want to use their monsters as tribute fodder, and stuff like that. Then finally we have 1 copy of Return. When you tribute summon a monster, you can either add from your deck to your hand 1 monster with 2,400 attack and 1,000 defense, or 1 monster with 2,800 attack and 1,000 defense. So it just allows you to grab another card from your deck to your hand and make those like plays next turn, or this turn if you have that option. So yeah, that does it for the main types of cards in the deck. So we have hand support, we have field support, we have lockdown, and then we just have removal. So those are basically the 4 types of cards in this deck. Any other cards that you'll be playing in the deck, like in here, are just pretty much doubles of these, maybe a few extra that don't necessarily fit into the category, but I'm pretty sure I covered every card that's in the main deck. Like I said, all the other ones are probably duplicates of certain cards. And so yeah, that does it for the main types of cards in the deck. Next, let's get on to a few combo plays and interactions that you can do with the deck. Alright, so our first combo involves, it's a 3-card combo, but I know a lot of times, like if you hear 3-card combo, 4-card combo, which you probably will hear a couple times by the end of this video, you'll probably be thinking the combo won't happen very often. However, a lot of these cards are very, very searchable to your hand. For example, these Spell or Trap cards, you can search with Tenacity. monster you can search with return, pretty much anything like that. So what you'll need for this combo is the Prime Monarch. You will need Pantheism, and you will need any Monarch big monster. Erebus or Aether would be good in this situation. Erebus would probably be the most optimal one. Thestalos is also nice too. Or you could, alternatively, you could have Tenacity instead of Pantheism, or Tenacity instead of Prime Monarch. Either one, the combo ends up the same. So what you want to do is activate Pantheism, discarding Prime Monarch with it, and then draw 2 cards. So that's right there. And then you want to banish Pantheism to add to your hand. Sorry for the glare there. I'm gonna move that like right here or something. Oh, that's still like, whatever. I'll just keep it there. Sorry for the glare. You want to be adding. Let's see. Let me think. Oh, that's right. You'll be adding Tenacity. That's my bad. I don't know why I like blanked out there. You can like reveal 3 copies of Tenacity. They'll have to pick it. As you can see, that's why it doesn't matter which combination you have. If you open Tenacity, it won't matter, just Tenacity for Pantheism. And then you can search for whatever you want with Pantheism. It can actually turn out even better. So then what you want to do is activate Tenacity. Then you will reveal Erebus. And then you will add Domain. Alternatively, you could try to go for March, but that's not guaranteed to be added to your hand, so I think Domain is a much safer choice in this situation. Then you'd have Tenacity in your graveyard. Then you activate Prime Monarch effect to special summon itself by banishing Tenacity. Then you activate Domain. Domain effect, reduce Erebus's level by 2. Then you tribute summon it, because it's level 6. Then you can send 2 Monarch spell trap cards to your graveyard. I'd probably send something like Pantheism, so that you can search something else next turn, and then alternatively any other thing that you can add. So yeah, that was the first combo that you can do with this deck. There are a lot of other combos that you can do, and let's show you guys the next one soon. Alright, so another combo that you can make is a 3-card combo involving 1-for-1, YuGiOh, or not specifically YuGiOh, and Erebus. Basically, any 2 monsters, one of them has to be a big one that you can tribute summon. So, and then this one can pretty much be anything. It really doesn't matter. If you have Idea and you have a banish card, that's probably the better choice, because when you discard it, you can add the banish thing and, you know, stuff like that. So what you basically want to do is activate the 1-for-1, send YuGiOh to the graveyard, and then special summon Idea, or Idea, my bad. Idea special summons YuGiOh or Mithra, whichever one you feel like special summoning. YuGiOh is most likely the best choice. Then you basically just tribute summon Erebus. If you have something else like Caius, probably not the best one to do. Aether is another one that you can do. Thestalos is also a great choice. But if you have Aether or Erebus, you can send 2 to the graveyard. And then shuffle something from your opponent's hand, and you start with 1 less card. And with Pantheism, you can search Domain by revealing 3 copies, and you basically end your turn with Erebus, possibly more tribute fodder if you really wanted to. Technically, you could do something else. If you have another like monster in your hand. Since you special summoned the Idea and the YuGiOh, you have another tribute summon from YuGiOh. So what you could do is use the YuGiOh effect to banish YuGiOh and then special summon Idea, and you have if you have another monster in your hand, you can reduce its level by 2 and tribute summon it. So that works pretty nicely. Alternatively, that's the only thing you can do with that. So you basically leave your board with possibly another tribute summon monster, an Erebus. Your opponent can't special summon from the extra deck, and they start with 1 less card in your hand. I don't know about you guys, but that sounds like a pretty optimal play to me. So that's the combo, the 3-card combo with those. And let's get into the next one. Alright, so for our last combo, it's not necessarily a combo, but more of a specific interaction involving the Prime Monarch. I'm just going to read you guys his first effect so you can get a better idea of what I'm trying to say. It says, once per turn, you can target 2 Monarch spell or trap cards in your graveyard. That's the cost, because it's semicolon. Shuffle them, keyword them, into the deck, then draw 1 card. And then it says, if this card is in your graveyard, you can banish 1 other Monarch spell or trap card from your graveyard, colon, or semicolon. Special summon this card in defense position as a normal monster, blah 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 blah. This card is not treated as a trap card. And you can only use this effect once per turn. So what you basically want to do is have Prime Monarch face up on your side of the field. You want to have Prime Monarch in your graveyard, and any 2 other Monarch spell trap cards in your graveyard. For this situation, we'll have Tenacity and Stormforth, just so we don't have any additional effects that can affect the combo. If you have something like Pantheism, that could change what your play would be, but we're just going to have these to start. So what the like card interaction is here is, or what you're going to be using, says, shuffle, like when you target the 2 Monarch spell trap cards with the one that's face up, shuffle them into the deck, then draw 2 cards, or 1 card. So the reason that this is so cool is basically, it's like Ritual Beast Cannahawk. I don't know if you guys know, like the thing that they're famous for is basically Cannahawk can target 2 cards to like search. No, oh God, I'm like terrible today. It targets 2 cards to return to the graveyard. Then it can target 1 of those same cards and a different card when chaining the defuse effect, and when it special summons itself, the other one that was not special summoned since its defuse effect resolved first goes into the deck, and then you get to search any Ritual Beast spell or trap card. So the significance of that is that you basically have something on the field instead of being shuffled into the deck, where, I mean, I'm pretty sure you'd rather have something on the field so you can fuse into something again. This is with Ritual Beast. And then you get another spell trap card, probably like Steeds or something. The keyword in Cannahawk is also them. It says shuffle them, or put them, or, good God, return them to the graveyard. That's the keyword there. So it's like the same concept with the Prime Monarch. What you want to do is target 2 cards, Prime and whichever one of these you want. In comparison to Ritual Beast, I'm going to be doing it like step by step, like in comparison to Ritual Beast. This is the equivalent of using its search effect by targeting 2 to return to the graveyard. Then in response to this, you're going to activate Prime Monarch's effect, since it is a quick effect, by banishing the one that you have not used yet. So not the one that you targeted with the Prime Monarch, because at least one of them needs to return to the deck. This is the equivalent of chaining Cannahawk's defuse effect and special summoning these 2, except this one will be banished and this one will be special summoned. And so the remaining one you targeted, since it says them and not those 2, goes into the deck, you shuffle, and you draw a card. So the significance of this is you have a monster to use as tribute fodder, and you have a monster that you can, or any card. If you draw a monster, for example, a Vanity's Fiend or a Majesty's Fiend, you can summon it by tributing it, and so yeah, it's just a pretty cool interaction with the 2 cards. That's comparable to Ritual Beast in what it does. A lot of people need to know something like that, because if you're looking to, like, I don't know, somehow extend your plays, that's a good combo that you can use. That's not too like common to hear about right now. It'll probably be like noticed later, because the Ritual Beast Cannahawk thing took a while to be introduced for people to realize it. So in a matter of a few weeks, people will probably realize that combo. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what types of videos you guys would like me to do in the future. Do you like these types of videos with the explaining the deck in depth, what you can do, stuff like that? Or do you guys like deck profiles or duel videos or opening, stuff like that? Let me know what you guys would like me to do. And yeah, peace, guys.